VIBErations Podcast, Part 28, Tony Gormley. Hi, I'm Gary Brightman, and this is my bi-weekly podcast called VIBErations. Established in 2018, Vibe is a book and music shop situated in Mui Wo on Lantau Island in Hong Kong. So, what's been happening at the shop over the past week? Today is July the 1st and Hong Kong SAR establishment public holiday. As usual, Vibe is open, as it is every single day of the year. In fact, usually public holidays are our busier days, given people come over to Lantau for the day. I've now cracked my holy grail to get Vibe podcasts published on Spotify. In fact, in registering onto podbean.com and gaining an RSS feed, I've now got totally carried away with podcast publishing. These podcasts are now available on YouTube, Apple, Podbean, Spotify, Google, Amazon, TuneIn, Stitcher, Listen Notes, and a few others. To subscribe on your preferred platform, just type VIBErations or Gary Brightman. Back in March, a View TV presenter and actor called Danny Tang Ho Kung contacted me to ask if I'd be interested in two members of Hong Kong's biggest canto pop band, Mirror, being filmed at Vibe. Since establishing Vibe 3 years ago, I made a personal rule to never decline any form of advertising for the shop, and during this time we've had film crews over, as well as interviews and articles for magazines and newspapers. So, in April, both Ginger and Tiger from Mirror rocked up at Vibe and allowed me to give a little interview, and then sang for me, and finally presented me with an extremely limited edition box set of their first album. Mirror are currently on at least 2 View TV 99 shows, Be a Better Mirror and the Euro 2020 football show, as well as singing the theme tune for it. And so, episode 13 of Be a Better Mirror showcased Mui Wo, as they filmed in Buffalo Strength Gym, Cafe Azara, The Kitchen, the Cook Food Market, and of course Vibe. You can see this episode on our YouTube site at Live at Vibe HK. The day the show was going out on View TV, I posted on Facebook some photos of me with Ginger and Tiger. Little did I know that this was the equivalent of lighting the touch paper to the Chinese New Year fireworks show. Over the following 48 hours, I received around 5,000 likes, loves, pictures and messages from Mirror fans, and offers to name my price for the limited edition CD. I decided at the time I was presented with the CD that I would never sell it, but instead keep it at Vibe for all Mirror fans to enjoy selfies with. So, Vibe is now well on the map with Mirror canto pop fans in Hong Kong, and not a day goes by when we're not visited by them. Oh, happy days! This Saturday, the 3rd of July, we have our second Tiny Desk gig of the year, with Ryan and Will, playing their brand of alt rock and indie music. You can drop by to see them at 2 p.m, or listen on Facebook Live from our Vibe Silvermine Bay Facebook site. And so, to this week's interview, the second of our 3 Scottish community members. From Glasgow, Scotland, weighing in at 0.08 metric tons, Tony Gormley. Tony does some law and owns a gym, Buffalo Strength in Mui Wo. He wasn't a raging success as a lawyer on a professional, financial or even personal level. He had the odd successes and met a lot of interesting people, and it paid the bills. Owing to volatile circumstances, he's not comfortable speaking in detail about his professional activities during the last 24 months, but it involved a lot of waiting in cells and enjoying luxuriantly cold air conditioning in winter. He also contributed to the odd book for Halsbury's. The gym is his passion and his medicine. He started it in 2018 during a fit of depression, but doesn't want to wholly credit that for the small success it has become. Their members are largely lovely people who have made his business sustainable in spite of the shutdowns this and last year. They are the cream of humanity, and they will be your friend. I'd urge you to go and meet them. Welcome to Vibe, Tony.
Cheers, Gary.
As we do, we're going to start off with 10 questions. The first question is, do you have a favourite book or author?
I didn't have to prepare this one. Lanark by Alasdair Gray. It's maybe the first important book that I read. It's hard to classify. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
I haven't, and I should have, I'm sure.
This is magnum opus. It's a book in 4 parts, or a story in 4 books. It starts with book 3. It goes on to a prologue. Then there's book 1 and book 2.
Okay.
Book 4, and then there's an epilogue, 3 chapters before the end of the novel.
Right,
So it's
okay.
an unusual structure.
Yeah, that's some way of writing. So what genre is it? Sci-fi?
Extremely hard to... Sci-fi is quite not bad. Allegorical fiction. It's the same character in all 4 books. In book 3, which is the first book, he's sort of arriving into a dystopian afterlife.
Okay.
Having drowned himself at the end of book 2, which is the 3rd book. I say allegorical fiction because the dystopian afterlife bears a heavier resemblance to Glasgow. Which is
that's
where
why.
book 1 and 2
There's the link.
set.
Favourite musical artist?
At the moment, I found this lady called Ronnie Spector.
Oh, yeah.
Who used to be the lead singer for the Ronettes, and she did 2 single albums.
Yeah.
At the moment, that's pretty much all I'm listening to, and I've got it playing in the gym as well all the time. Much to the chagrin of people who prefer something a bit heavier. But in general, that's nothing like what I listen to. I like punk music, more towards the poppy end.
Yeah.
I like sort of high energy.
Yeah.
I'm not so much into like the more angry, nihilistic. But the heavy, I like Minor Threat, I like Fugazi, but my favourites would be more like the Ramones, NoFX.
Yes. Well, you're talking my language. Same sort of thing. Okay. Preferred drink?
Beer.
Yep.
And too much of it.
Do you have a life motto?
Wherever you go in life, never take an idiot with you. You can always find one when you get there.
Favourite Hong Kong walk?
I'd say the walk between my house and my gym. I do it every day. I meet people I know on the way.
Yes.
I can pop into the shop if I've got a few minutes and have a natter. It's not some ambitious hike.
No.
It's not fantastic views, but it's I like here.
Yeah.
I like this place, so that's my favourite walk.
Favourite Hong Kong restaurant?
I don't really eat out that much.
Faced with a python whilst walking up to the peak, what would you do?
I'd be very quiet as I approached and try to nab a picture so I could share my adventures.
Yeah. Finish this sentence. I live in Hong Kong because...
No, I guess that's a kind of fluid answer because, this is where my girlfriend and my dogs, which is something of my family, that's where they are. It's where my business is. It's where I found happiness more than other places I've lived. I've lived in a couple of places. I've lived in Africa before. I've lived in Canada and Montreal. I've travelled around a bit.
Okay.
Here's where I've built something, and I didn't fall in love with the place right away. It grew on me.
So it's really where you call home, isn't it, I suppose?
Yep.
Yeah. Final question. Do you have a favourite area of Hong Kong?
I'm going to be boring and say here again, but I can't answer here again, aside from here.
You can actually, because I tell you what, surprisingly, I've interviewed 28, 30 people now, and the large percentage of them live here, say here.
Aside from here, I'd say Sham Shui Po, Prince Edward, Mongkok, that whole area, that's where the best shopping is. It's where you can find the best bargains, the most interesting shops and people, and you can make new discoveries every time you go there.
What made you come to Hong Kong?
A bad breakup, probably.
Okay.
I did my degree in Chinese studies. And after that, everyone in my cohort was going into investment banking.
Yeah.
And I thought, bugger that. So my girlfriend at the time was attending McGill University for her thesis. And so I sort of aimlessly followed her there.
Yeah, okay.
I got a job working in a pub. I did that for about a year and a half. And then... broke up with her, and only one of us could have Montreal. So,
okay, fair enough.
So it left me without really a destination or a goal. And I had a friend who's studying law here, and he says it's a common law degree, so even if you don't choose to stay here, you've travelled someplace new, you got a bit of experience, and then you can use that common law degree to practice in other jurisdictions, which could be Australia, New Zealand, back home. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a shot. It's only 2 years.
Is it really?
For a postgraduate law degree, for the Juris Doctor.
Okay, so that then brought you to Hong Kong, and you studied your last 2 years, the 2 years of that degree here.
That's right, yeah. I didn't have any concrete intention to stay here long term. I don't think many people do.
So whereabouts did you go to university?
Went to Edinburgh University. Yeah. And that involved a year abroad in mainland China, which for me was Dalian.
Okay.
In the north. Every single year before us got to go to Beijing.
Yeah.
So I was gutted.
Yeah.
Not to denigrate Dalian.
Yeah.
It's not Beijing. It's not
a
cultural hub. It's not as exciting. It's a fishing town that's sort of graduated to a big port city.
Okay.
So everything's very industrial. It was an experience, I like to go outside my comfort zone, I always have.
Yeah, okay.
Which is funny because I live here now.
Okay, so you studied in Edinburgh, you finished off your education, you then found yourself in Montreal, you came here because your friend recommended to come here, and that's where you finished your law degree.
That's right, yeah.
And did you then did you practice law then after that, or?
Yeah, that's when I decided that I wanted to stay here at least for a while. If you want to practice in Hong Kong, you have to do another postgraduate qualification called the PCLL.
Okay.
That only takes a year, so I did that. And then you got an option whether to practice as a barrister or a solicitor. And I just fell in love with the wig.
Okay, yeah, why wouldn't you?
You have to do a year's pupillage, which is unpaid. You spend time in more experienced barristers' chambers. You assist them with their preparatory work, sometimes a bit more than preparatory work, depending on the pupil master. So I came here in 2008, I graduated with the JD in 2010, graduated the PCLL in 2011, a year of pupillage, so I finally started practicing in 2012.
So you're in Hong Kong now, you're starting to like it, it's 2012. How long did you practice law for? Are you still practicing law?
I'm still practicing law. Being a barrister gives you a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
Not a lot of cash unless you're very senior and very high up, but a lot of freedom in terms of how you work and what work you take. You don't have to turn up to the office every single day. After a couple of years of basically taking everything that arrived in my desk, at which point I was renting a chambers office in Central, I really got fed up.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I was living here anyway.
You were living in Mui Wo.
I was living in Mui Wo anyway,
so you were
So I was commuting every single day. First couple of years I was practicing, I was drinking far too much. Like, the drinking culture at Chambers was incredible. And then I realised, oh my god, I'm going to die. I moved out of the Chambers there and I started a home office, and I took my work there. And it wasn't until a few years later the drinking subsided. I got back into working out, which I'd done since I was about 17. I always enjoyed lifting weights. I used to bodybuild. I don't anymore, obviously. I'm more into powerlifting now, and jiu-jitsu and a couple of other things.
Okay.
But starting up Buffalo Strength, I had to commute every single day to get to a decent venue. Not to say that our government gym is useless, but it doesn't have the equipment you need if you're a bit more serious. Especially if you want to lift free weights. If you want to do Olympic lifting, if you want to do powerlifting, really if you want to develop your strength overall, then free weights are a must. And the government gym really just has machines and some cardio equipment, basically things that doesn't require a lot of supervision. You can't hurt yourself with. But the staff can kind of show you a 3-hour induction video, which is required if you want to join, and then just take a step back. They don't have to invest a lot of personal time. It's safe. And that wasn't enough for me, and it wasn't enough for a lot of people living here. That and the difficulty of the joining procedure. They require you to undergo this 3-hour induction, which is just watching a video.
I've heard of this.
And they only hold this session every 2 months, and there's only about 10 or 12 places for it. So I thought, well, there's a gap in the market there in two respects. One, people who are a bit more serious don't have the equipment they need, and two, people who might just want to turn up and use the gym and have a workout, and they can't because they have to jump through these hoops. Well, setting up a place isn't hard, you just have to have the location. I knew where to get the equipment and get it fairly inexpensively. It's not tremendously expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Barbells and plates and all that. The value in it is you use it as a tool for teaching people. The value is really what you put into it.
Right.
On its own, intrinsically, it's useless.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to use it.
Lumps of metal or whatever, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it could even be worse than useless. You could hurt yourself with it. But if someone takes the time to show you how to use it properly and invests in the equipment and in your instruction, then it can become very, very valuable on a personal level.
Because I would imagine, actually, the beauty, going back to what you were saying about the government gym, generally, I think people make spur-of-the-moment decisions. I'm carrying too much weight, I'm not as fit as I want to be, I want to train a part of my body, or I've got an injury that I want to improve. And it's not something that they can actually wait 2 months to do. So this is where your kind of gym comes in. People can come to you, and then around their requirements, can you then design a program for them? Or
that's what we do. I'd like to say, I like that observation. I'd liken it kind of to getting a tattoo. Can be like an impulsive, spur of the moment decision. The facility's there if you want it, and who's to say because it's a spur of the moment decision it's going to be the negative thing that you're going to regret. No, it could be just in that moment. You need it, you want it.
Yes.
And if you plan 2 months ahead, then you might get cold feet. Quote unquote common sense might get the best of you. Or laziness in the case of the gym. So the fact that you can just walk up and join.
Well, no, that's the positive of Buffalo Strength, I think. That's what you bring to the community here. So let's talk a bit then about what you offer in your gym.
You're asking me about the program now. I remember. Okay, yes. The basic deal is the membership is for 3 months. If you just want to join for the day, then you pay 100 for the day, and that's fine. If you want to join, it's 3 months, and it's 1950. It works out at 650 a month. Everyone who joins, you don't have to do this, but everyone who joins, I give you a free assessment, which consists of a mobility assessment and a strength test. So we find out if you've got any mobility issues that would prevent you from using the equipment safely. Yeah. And then if you do, we design the program with that in mind. We hammer all the nails back into place before we have you doing any work. Okay. Everyone gets that. I put together a program, a bespoke program based on what you need to do or what your goals are, and I throw in a free personal training session to get you started. Okay. As well as a free group class if you want to try any of the other things that we offer. Okay. Is it all about weightlifting there, or do you offer sort of cardio and other types of... We have cardio equipment, but really you can get a decent cardio session in with a kettlebell. Doing a few rounds. Also, we have these things called Indian clubs and maces and sandbags, battle ropes, all the functional equipment. So it's not just weights. Yeah. Like I say, and maybe this is a bigger topic. Yeah. But really, gyms as a whole have moved on from just lifting weights and doing the 6 big lifts, doing your deadlifts, your squats, your bench. Okay. Everyone in the past trained in this way with very limited equipment. Now it's kind of opened up as the environment of the gym itself is opened up to more people. Yeah. You mentioned there, actually, that's interesting, the 6 different types of lifts. What are the 6? So if all you have is a barbell, and what do they give you? Yeah. If you do these 6 lifts, you'll hit every major muscle group in your body. Okay. Your bench press, your overhead press, your squat, your deadlift, your Romanian deadlift, and your row. Okay. So as the last one's the row. The row. Okay. So there's lots of different variations of barbell row. Yeah. I teach a very basic setup. Okay. And of course everyone's got a different body, and maybe some parts are stronger than others. So I'll have people row from a more vertical standing position. Perhaps if their lower back is not as strong. Okay. And support that perpendicular. I know I'm using my hands. Yeah, you are, but so you're making a T shape with your hands. Yeah, yeah. So your back parallel to the ground is ideal. Okay. If your lower back can't support that, I'll have you starting a little bit higher. So sort of inverted at an angle from the T. The T is up a little bit. Your body is arched up a bit. Oh yeah, that's a 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree angle. Okay. These are the sort of adaptations I'll make for people in their program. But if you do these 6 lifts, and your goal is to strengthen your whole body and or maintain muscle mass if you're getting older, you don't really need to know anything else.
Right.
And I teach that as part of the assessment. I find the starting numbers for these lifts.
Yeah.
I'll say, if your goal is nothing else other than strength, you can do these 6 lifts, and you're on your way.
Okay.
If you get more specific goals, then obviously we have to adapt the training.
Yeah.
But these 6 lifts, that's all you need to know. So that's the kind of induction,
Right.
quote unquote.
But you call those lifts? Are they? To me, lift is a lift and sort of from barbells from the ground up in the air. I suspect you don't. They're not totally lifts. They're motions with those lifts. Would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, they're body movements. And again, you can mimic these same movements whether you're using a barbell, which is what I'll teach in the assessment, or whether you're using the sandbags or kettlebells, even the maces and the clubs if you're a bit more interested. But basically, these are the 6 moves that will hit all the major muscle groups in your body.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you do this, then you don't really need to do anything else.
Yeah, so you would sort of advocate that you don't. It's a, I suppose, a more grassroots level of exercise than. It's got very technical, as you say, these days, and people are sitting on bikes, cycling the Tour de France with screens in front of them and having weightings on those, and that's giving their body a certain level of exercise. But in fact, you don't have to go that far. You can get that level of good exercise for your legs, let's say, or lower body.
We'll work them in a different way. It's using different energy systems.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing cardio on a bike, you're primarily using oxidation, which is burning nutrients as your energy source, and using a bit of glycogen as well.
Okay.
If you're doing heavy, intense work, like if you're running 100 meters, which is maybe a closer analogy to doing like a 5-rep set squats, you'll be using the ATP system, adenosine triphosphate.
Okay.
This area is kind of neglected for most people who do only cardio. They won't be using this energy system. They won't be taxing their body in that way. Yeah. And they won't really preserve the lean muscle mass that they need to into old age.
Right.
If they do cardio exclusively, and especially cardio in only one plane of motion, like cycling or running.
Yes.
You need to work outside that movement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I was kind of getting to in a way. Yeah, and so for me, for instance, what would you do with me? That might be an easy example to give. So I'm 60. I've got a dodgy back. I probably need to get my core strength up a little bit, but of course I can't. If my lower back's injured, I've got to be careful I don't injure that doing that. What would you prescribe for me?
Well, the first thing I'd do is take that on board.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah.
I'd assess your mobility first. I'll see what your squat is like, if you can achieve depth, and more importantly, if you can achieve depth without the knees caving in, which is what we call a valgus collapse, without the lower back rounding, without the mid back rounding, without it causing too much discomfort or pain. Because if you can perform the movement, but it's causing you discomfort and pain, then maybe you have to practice the basic movement a bit more first before you pick up the weights. Yeah. For your lower back, I'd see how well you can hinge your hips back, which is a movement that's mimicked in a lot of other movements, barbell good mornings, Romanian deadlifts, things like this. I'm talking French.
You're not really, because some of those things they come and almost describe themselves just in their title. But
a hip hinge, it's basically standing and keeping your bum high and throwing it back and trying to keep a straight back. Yeah, it'll show how much tension your hamstrings can keep, whether your lower back can support the shape. If I see your mid back rounding, that's what I'll need to strengthen. If I see your lower back rounding, I have to hit there. If I see the hamstrings shaking, I know that they're not strong enough to support that structure.
Okay, all right.
So that's what I mean by hammering the nails back in. Yeah, because these are natural movements. Yes, which we train ourselves out of. If you watch a baby pick something up, the baby squats right down. They don't bend over at the hips. Yeah. They certainly don't go, They squat right down. Yes. So it's very natural patterns of movement that we train ourselves out of. Yeah. So, and I know for a fact that no one is really too old or too decrepit or too out of shape to give this a go. Yes. I know a lot of people who believe they are. Yeah. But people who, and obviously people with injury, people with surgery, people have things like this which are permanent, which will never heal. Yeah. But if you strengthen up the structure that surrounds whichever area you're vulnerable,
Yeah.
then life will be a lot more comfortable.
Yes.
And that's the goal for a lot of people. It's really what the gym should be for.
Yeah, so let's move on to that then.
Yeah.
So, my view of gyms is I've always shied away from them a little bit. I've always thought, oh, they're full of lycra posers, there's mirrors and they're just looking at themselves and looking at the opposite sex as well. And so it's a totally sort of, is not an environment I would feel comfortable in necessarily, especially if I was a female. Then I would feel a little bit vulnerable in those environments. How would you counter that? How is your gym different to that?
Well, I've been there since like the late 90s, the early 2000s, and it was like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was mostly men, mostly either bodybuilders or powerlifters. You didn't see many people doing it as an accessory to their main sport, which of course you see now. Footballers strength train, everyone really strength trains if they're involved in any kind of sport. But back then it was the domain of bodybuilders and powerlifters and people doing crazy things and lifting crazy weights and often making crazy noises while they did it.
Yeah, that's right. That's the other thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is very off-putting.
Yes.
For a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's moved out of the dungeon in the last 3 decades, let's say. It started in the early 90s, and then by the time I'd finished university, I'd say it moved past that. People still weren't training and, let's say, outside those 6 main sort of movements.
Yes.
They weren't doing a lot of mobility work yet. They weren't doing high intensity work so much, unless they had a good trainer.
Right.
But it's moved on since then. I think people have realised that the science has gotten out, basically.
Yes.
And people realise this is stuff that really everybody should be doing.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be extreme. It doesn't. If you're a runner, you don't have to be an ultramarathon.
Yes.
You can run 5Ks and you're a runner.
Yeah.
If you're practicing jiu-jitsu, you don't have to be a black belt, and very few people are.
Yeah.
Very few people will become a black belt.
They'll stay at the lower belts.
But if you're a blue belt and you're going to the mat once or twice a week, you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Yeah. If you're going to the gym and using it, if for no other reason, if you get no other goal than to maintain what you've got, then you belong in the gym.
Yes.
You've got a place there. You don't have to go there with the aim of, like you say, having this impressive shredded physique. That really will impress few people outside the gym.
Yes.
And not everybody inside the gym either. It's sort of masturbatory. Nowadays it's seen as, unless you are a professional bodybuilder, dedicated bodybuilder. Just doing it for the Instagram scene. It's not, I won't say it's not a valid reason to go to the gym. If whatever your reason for going to the gym, that makes you happy, that's a valid reason for going to the gym.
Yes.
But it's not most people's now. Whereas it used to be.
So in terms of the services you've already described to us, you would assess people going there. You can pretty much cater for any type, any age groups, any preferences. Is there areas that you couldn't, or is there areas that you specifically specialise in? I wouldn't
try and coach people in Olympic weightlifting. Because it's completely foreign to me. And very dangerous. So I'd steer away from there.
But that's at the far end, isn't it?
There's
most people are in that middle band, I suppose, aren't they? Of just needed a bit of fitness, or maybe they're a bit of physio.
On that level, I can get anyone started. I think. Even there are people who come to the gym. I won't mention names, but they're over 70. They've got supreme mobility issues. And maybe confidence issues as well. If you start them slow enough, it doesn't take long for the neuromuscular connections to rebuild themselves. And people surprise themselves, especially the first few weeks. Things that haven't worked in decades can just switch back on, almost like Christmas tree lights.
Now that is interesting, isn't it?
I'm making a. It sounds like a bold claim, but I've been there. I've seen people work this way, and I've seen it happen. So I'm not talking pie in the sky.
No.
This,
I mean, no bigger motivation, I think, isn't there? Where you've got a problem, a twinge, you start going to the gym, and within 2 or 3 weeks, you're starting to see a difference.
I won't say it's a miracle cure, but it helps.
It helps, and I think that part of it is the psychology as well as the physical, isn't there?
Once you rediscover these things that you thought were gone forever, and this for me is really why I like powerlifting and why I like the gym in general. You rediscover an agency over your body.
Yeah.
You thought was lost, and that's a tremendous mental boost.
Yes.
If you thought you were out of control, that you were done, and then you rediscover it and you realise, I've not been able to do this in 20 years. Now I can. Even if it's just a body weight squat, it's tremendous for your mental well-being.
A session should be around an hour.
Yeah, anything
2 or 3 times a week.
If you're working out at sufficient intensity, you shouldn't really be lifting for longer than 45-50 minutes.
Yeah.
After that, your cortisol levels start building up, and then actively start breaking down muscle.
Right. Okay. So actively goes against you after that. Okay. One other question for me. So my tummy is a bit fat. What sort of exercises would I do to reduce that and improve that?
You have to. Well, first you have to work to maintain what you've got. You'll have a good deal of muscle underneath there. You've got to work to maintain that. The thing about fat is that it's very efficient tissue for your body to maintain, and it will want to maintain it because it's stored energy. Fat only takes about 1 calorie per pound per day to maintain. The equivalent weight in muscle takes about 10 calories per pound per day. So if you're in a calorie deficit, which is what's required to lose fat, your body will burn the muscle first and keep the fat unless you give it stimulus to keep the muscle, i.e. to send it the message that this tissue is needed to perform the tasks. So if you want to get rid of the belly, you have to weight train. You have to do some maybe targeted cardio, some high intensity stuff, not so much the long distance cardio. Which is good for, like I say, it uses oxidation as the energy source, so it's good for burning fat directly. But then it will come right back on. Which is
so it's sustaining it, isn't it, is the important thing. I mean, because in a way I totally agree. In my example of what you've just said to me, I walk a lot, I walk the hills, we've got dogs, and I'm always burning more calories
You'll be burning
than I'm eating. So I'm thinking, well, why the hell have I still got a stomach? I mean, is it that I'm drinking too much beer? Well, not really. Yes.
Well, the body's a machine. If you put more in than you burn off, then it's going to increase or maintain the weight. So I'd say, and a lot of people do this, I do it as well, they underestimate exactly how much they're putting in if they're not losing weight. Which is where calorie tracking can come in handy. If you want to get a bit.
Which we can all do on our watches more or less these days.
We can all do
can't
it very easily now. Back in the day, it used to be pen and paper, and you had the calculator out.
But your iPhone or whatever will tell you all that stuff these days, won't it?
But to get rid of fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, and you have to give your body a reason to maintain the muscle mass. And hiking on its own won't necessarily give your body that message. Because what are you using your upper back for when you're hiking? You're not using your chest. Definitely not your deltoids.
It's
you're
all
using
body,
your legs,
really?
but only in one plane of motion. Really, just your quadriceps. You won't be putting a lot of tension on your hamstrings. Your lower back, maybe it has to support that vertical position,
a little
but
bit,
it's not moving anything.
So
you have to work in all these different planes of motion to maintain what you've got.
So it's not enough in itself, is it, really?
And also be in the calorie deficit to lose the belly.
Okay. Mui Wo and the greater areas of Poyo and Tayo. There's a lot of people here, and your gym is probably the only gym actually in this whole area. Am I right in saying that?
There's a jiu-jitsu gym in Poyo, which is tremendous. A brown belt teaches there, which is an incredibly high grade. I'm a big fan of jiu-jitsu.
Because you said you started off saying about the jiu-jitsu, and I wondered if you were doing classes over there.
We are. Our instructor is a blue belt. There's only 5 grades in jiu-jitsu: white, blue, purple, brown, black.
Okay.
And we have a blue belt instructor. I've been doing it for 3 years, and I'm still in my white belt.
Right.
So
wow.
that's part of the appeal of it, is that you don't get it for free. They don't give grades away. Because you've been to a certain amount of classes.
Yeah.
Or you've been there a certain amount of time, or you've paid a certain amount of money. You get a grade in jiu-jitsu once you can beat the other people who don't have that grade.
Okay.
Once you get better and you're actually beating someone who is 100% not cooperating with you, then you're promoted, and that's really the litmus test for any martial arts.
Yes. Yeah.
The great thing about it is that you can practice it in a very safe way. It's a grappling-based martial art.
Okay, so it's physical.
It's physical, yeah. It's very close, very intimate. Even.
Yeah. Like judo and
wrestling.
Wrestling, yeah. So people can book to do jiu-jitsu classes at Buffalo Strength?
They can, but again, I'll recommend Alika's gym in Pueo again.
Okay.
It's called Pueo Hana.
Okay.
He's a tremendous instructor.
Pueo Hana.
Pueo Hana.
So just go through the numbers again. So somebody comes to you, they pay an additional starting fee, and then they get the...
It's $19.50 for the 3 months. Works out at $6.50 per month. And I do the assessment for free. I do the program for free.
Yeah.
I do one personal training session, so I can take you through a workout in person for an hour for free, and you get a group class for free. Our membership is about 40% female.
Okay, so that, I think that's another very, very big positive.
And lots of different age groups as well. Like I say, the myth is not been completely shattered yet, but it's breaking down.
Yeah, okay.
And the truth is coming out. This is for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not for just crazy people.
Yes.
It's not for just egotistical meatheads.
Yeah.
It's for everybody, yeah.
And in terms of hours?
We're staffed between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. Then again from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
If you want to get in the middle of the day, I give you your own code for the front door.
Yes.
So you can come and go as you please. If you want to get in before 8:30, I prefer you don't come in before 7.
Right.
But certainly if you do, common sense rules apply. You have to respect our neighbours.
You don't have any other facilities there, do you? Like showers and things, cleaning stuff? Oh, you do? Okay.
We've got a shower and bathroom and changing rooms.
Okay, so that is a possibility if people want to hop straight on the boat after a session. Anything else to say, do you think, Tony?
Thanks for having me. It's been nice to talk about the place. When you have a kind of free-form conversation, some things occur to you that might not have previously. So thanks for that.
That's an absolute pleasure to have you here, Tony, and thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Guy.
All right, cheers. For further details about Buffalo Strength Gym, you can find them on Facebook at Buffalo Strength or on the web at buffalo-strength.com. You can now listen to all our podcasts on YouTube, on Apple, on Podbean, on Spotify, on Google, on Amazon, and so many more. Just type in VIBErations or Gary Brightman. Or you can follow the links from my website at vibehk.com. Finally, a reminder that Vibe is open 7 days a week, every day of the year, from 12 noon until approximately 6:30 p.m. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for listening to the 28th Vibe Book and Music Shop podcast called VIBErations. I'm Gary Brightman. You get my vibe?
Can you imagine what this old island must have looked like to those Dutch sailors when they first saw it? Fresh green. Like a dream of a new world.
They must have held their breath. Afraid it would disappear before they could touch it.